Hey guys, let's go through some basic movements that you can use each week to strengthen and stabilize your body, increase joint stability, bone mineral density, and get all the benefits of exercise. Now, it doesn't need to be too complicated. Most people think, oh, you know, I've got to go to a gym, I've got to invest all this time, money, energy, effort to get results, and it's not true at all. And the only gym you'll ever need is a set of rings like this, and if you don't have a set of rings, you can set up a towel, with a tea towel with a knot in each corner, and put that over your door and use that for this first exercise. So I love hanging and pull-ups. They're a very effective exercise. So if I do this, I'm going to come down, stretch out, traction my spine, gap my shoulders, gap my lower back. Here I've got a lot of weight in my feet if I need to. If you're stronger, you do this with your full body weight, and then you can use this position as a base for your pull-ups. So pulling the body right up, squeezing those shoulder blades down and back, and then stretching out at the bottom. So getting pull-ups done once a week is so important for the health of your spine and so important for the health of your shoulders and that pulling pattern. And because we evolved brachiating, it's in our genetics and we need to stimulate our genes to have optimal expression. So pull-ups are great. I usually work those twice a week, and I'll work 4 sets of pull-ups and then all different variations. But just if you're starting out, just do it once a week and then just stretch and traction every day. It's so good for your shoulders and your back. Now the next one is going to be the basic push-up. So you can have it set up where you've got a bench or a kitchen bench and just work that. That works really well. You can just go to the floor, to the knees, the toes, and there's always a way to make it harder. So if I'm here, if I want to make it harder, I just come further over in front. I'm on the knees, that can make it easier. If the bench one's too easy and the knees one's too hard, you might want to just build up more reps before you advance. I usually use 3 to 12 reps for all the strengthening exercises. That way, if I can get to 12, I know if I go to a harder version, I'm going to be able to do an X amount of reps and it's not going to be straining too much, and I can gradually improve each week. So a pulling movement, a pushing movement. Now, some of the key leg movements to do are going to be bending and picking up objects. So if there's a heavy weight on the ground, you want to be able to get your body down, reach down and grab that and pick it up effectively and keep your spine healthy and use your hips. So there's different ways to do it. If your back is a little bit of an issue, then you can keep more of an upright spine and less of a hip hinge. If your spine is okay, you can hip hinge like that. But you want to learn how to pick up heavy things with good alignment and good postural integrity in the lower back and have that hip mobility to be able to do it. So bending and picking up objects, and you may do 3 to 12 of those depending on the weight that you have. If you don't have weights, I mean, everyone's got something they can use, but you can just do single leg ones as well. And that increases the complexity of the movement and allows for that balance response and a stabilization response within the hip. Very effective. Now, other movements I like is moving objects. So I'm moving my body, I'm pulling on the rings or on the towel or a pull-up bar, I'm pushing over the ground, picking an object up off the ground, but being able to throw or being able to twist with movements is what we evolved to do. This is why the human being is so good at handling tools, has that dexterity, and we've got our 2 legs that we walk around on, and then our upper body, the arms, are used for moving implements. So we're very effective at using tools, very effective at precision at throwing objects. So it's very important, if you can, just to throw objects and use both arms, so it uses both sides of the brain. But if you are working it into a workout, a simple exercise, you can do a weight shift twist, doing stuff like that. It's great for the body, and always make sure whenever you do one-sided exercises, you balance and match it on the other side. Otherwise you'll get a distortion from doing one side all the time. So any athlete that plays with one side, you know, they'll come and train with me and I always get them to not perform with the other side, but train the other side and condition it so that it brings about balance in their body. So it's a very simple way to do that, is just to learn to use the other side. Now lunging is great, so I did a bit of a weight shift twist. You could add a lunge into it, or even just step and twist with an object like that, lunging. Now if those are a bit nasty, you've got to work with your body as to where it's at. So you can just have the hands on the knees, lower yourself down to the knee and come back up. Now the bending movement I did before is a hip stretch if I keep the hips high. It's a squat stretch if I drop my butt down. And then the other key stretch to do in the body, hip flexors, the lunge stretch. So important to be able to get to the ground. So all the movements that I teach to people are also mobility exercises. And that's how you save time. Rather than just doing stretches and then strengthening and doing all these different stuff, you can just do it all together. Because what is a stretch? It's moving into a position, but you don't want to just be able to go there and stretch. You want to feel strong there. And if you want to increase your mobility, you've got to get strong at that end range of motion. So people wonder why I can do the splits and why I can do all of that. I've strengthened that end range of motion and I've got control there, so it makes it easier. Some other key things to do in the week is walking, running and sprinting. Now I don't mind cycling, but I don't recommend it to people because I don't like people molding their body around that shape. And if they do cycle, I encourage that they do all different stretches for the hips to balance it out. I much prefer walking, running and sprinting over cycling, but you know, if you're doing it, that's great. But try and get some walking in there, and even if you're walking up and down stairs, just to stimulate the body in a more natural way, and that way you're going to get the balance of the musculature through the hips, stabilization through the knees, the ankles, in a way that we evolved to have it. So you're getting that stimulus on your genes in a way that is allowing for optimal expression of the body and optimal balance. So walking, running and sprinting, but walking every day, 30 minutes a day, it's so good, just that rhythmic pumping for the body. And then lastly, core stabilization. So people think of yoga or Pilates or physiotherapy and all these kind of core exercises, but really all they're all doing is infant development. If you think of what the human body is and how we evolved to overcome gravity, it's to stabilize our joints and to move against the field of gravity. And when we come out of the womb, then we go through that full evolutionary process. So you're much like an inchworm on the ground trying to move your spine around. Then you're going into reptilian patterns, crawling with your body on the ground and reaching over, rolling over, and just getting a sense of awareness and stabilizing the spine, stabilizing the organs. And then you go into a mammalian phase where you stabilize the shoulder girdle and the hip, and you get that cross pattern crawl going, and then that develops the body into upright walking. But when you hurt yourself, you've got to go back to go forward. So some really simple exercise, just the 4-point, going back into that mammalian phase, stabilizing the spine and lifting the opposite hand and knee. Really simple. So you could do a minute worth of those and do a 15-second hold each side, 4 reps. Have a bit of a breather and then go again. You can make that one harder by taking the opposite arm and leg out, and that's going to activate the back as well. Really simple. You know, you can do a minute of that, have a 30-second rest, and then do 3 rounds of that, and that'll help stabilize the hip, stabilize the shoulder. Now the hard part with that is doing it with good technique. So when I lift one arm and leg, I'm not weight shifting over. I'm trying to keep the spine still and the shoulders still. I'm not shifting everywhere. So always the details make a big difference, and that makes that exercise a lot harder. And I've used that with thousands, literally thousands of clients. I've been in this studio for 10 years. I've had over 5,000 people come through the door, and every one of them have been given that exercise at some stage or some version of it that's right for them. So I hope that helps. There's no excuses. Got to keep the body moving to maintain good health. It's such an important part of overall holistic health.